The Riviera of Northeast Asia. Earns $14 billion annually. Episode 20. Wonsan Kumgangsan International Tourist Zone. If the Trump Hotel is built, Wonsan Kumgangsan will succeed. Creating the miracle on the Taedong River. North Korea's Workers' Party can do a market economy. The Wonsan Kumgangsan International Tourist Zone, dubbed the Riviera of Northeast Asia, is projected to attract 7 million tourists and generate $14 billion in revenue annually following North Korea's denuclearization and the introduction of a market economy. The Wonsan Kumgangsan International Tourist Zone is North Korea's largest-scale special tourism zone, ambitiously promoted by the country. Officially designated by a decree of the Standing Committee of the Supreme People's Assembly in 2014, it is a comprehensive tourism belt encompassing a vast area of approximately 400 kilometers along the east coast, including the Wonsan Galma Peninsula Coastal Tourist Zone, the Kumgangsan Tourist Zone, the Masikryong Ski Resort, and the Seokwangsa and Tongchon districts. The total estimated development cost was approximately $8 billion as of 2014, and plans have since been expanded. The Wonsan Galma Coastal Tourism Zone is the fastest progressing core area. Although construction was delayed several times after full-scale groundbreaking in 2018, a completion ceremony presided over by the Supreme Leader was held in June 2025, and domestic tourism officially commenced on July 1, 2025. Spanning approximately 245 hectares, 605 acres, the site features 6 large hotels, including the Myeongsa Hotel and 37 guest houses. It is equipped with thousands of hotel rooms, high-rise hotels exceeding 30 stories, a water park, a multi-purpose stadium, and beach resort facilities capable of accommodating about 20,000 people at a time. The Mount Kumgang tourist area was a region previously developed and operated by Hyundai Asan, but after operations were suspended following the shooting of a South Korean tourist in 2008, North Korea confiscated and froze South Korean assets within the Mount Kumgang area in April 2010 and revoked Hyundai Asan's exclusive rights to the Mount Kumgang tourism business in April 2011. Hyundai Asan agreed to pay a total of $942 million for the Mount Kumgang tourism project, but the project was suspended after approximately half of the payment had been made. Since 2022, starting with Hotel Haegumgang, most South Korean facilities, including golf courses, have been demolished, and the project is transitioning to North Korea's own development. As a UNESCO World Heritage Site confirmed in 2025, the natural landscape holds high value, but infrastructure reorganization is insufficient. The Masikryong Ski Resort is already in operation as a related facility, and transportation infrastructure such as the Wonsan-Mount Kumgang Expressway, planned as a 2-lane highway, Galma International Airport, and Wonsan Port are being pursued simultaneously. The adoption of the Wonsan Galma Coastal Tourism Special Act in May 2025 strengthened the nature of the special zone. However, the content of the law is characterized by increased control, specifically restrictions on communication and the Internet, and enhanced security. As of 2025-2026, operations are primarily focused on domestic tourists with limited foreign tourism. Although there were attempts to attract some Russian tourists and small-scale Chinese tourists starting in 2024, these efforts did not materialize due to sanctions and political factors. At the 9th Congress of the Workers' Party of Korea in 2026, plans for the development of large-scale tourism zones were officially formalized, emphasizing the tourism industry as a national strategy. Overall, while infrastructure is largely complete, attracting foreign tourists and generating revenue are still in the early stages. If UN sanctions are eased or lifted following denuclearization, and North Korea pursues a Chinese-style gradual opening by implementing mixed ownership, expanding private property rights, and strengthening special laws for special economic zones, the Wonsan Mount Kumgang area is highly likely to grow rapidly into a flagship project for North Korea's tourism industry. In the short term, 1 to 3 years, aviation, port, and road infrastructure will be fully completed to attract a large number of tourists from China and Russia. Additionally, the Galma Coast Resort will be fully internationalized to revitalize winter tourism at the Masikryong Ski Resort and resume cruise tourism linked to the East Sea. In the intermediate period, 3 to 7 years, developing a complex resort involving capital from South Korea, China, Russia, and Japan will complete a 4-season comprehensive tourism belt linking the natural landscapes of Mount Kumgang, the Galma Coast, and the ski resort, making it possible to attract millions of tourists annually. In the long term, if it leaps forward as a high-end tourism hub in Northeast Asia, and expands the casino, medical and wellness, eco-cultural, and MICE industries, namely meeting, incentive, convention, and exhibition. The scale of development is expected to significantly exceed the 2014 plan of $7.8 billion. While success would yield significant foreign exchange earnings, key success factors include strengthened investment protection, liberalization of telecommunications and the Internet, enhanced safety and service quality, and a balance between political control and commercial activities. It possesses strengths that allow it to differentiate itself as a premium tourism destination due to its outstanding natural scenery and brand value. Once denuclearization is achieved and sanctions are lifted, this region will rapidly emerge as the Riviera of Northeast Asia, that is, Asia's largest integrated resort complex. Investment in integrated resorts will create a large-scale complex benchmarking the Macau and Singapore models by combining casinos, MICE, and shopping malls. Investment in cruises and marine leisure will open a shipping route connecting Wonsan, Mount Kumgang, Sokcho, and Japan, emerging as a key base for the East Coast cruise industry. Investment in medical and wellness will establish rehabilitation facilities utilizing hot springs and forest resources, transforming the area into a long-stay medical tourism destination targeting the aging demand of Northeast Asia. Investment in aviation and transportation will revitalize Galma International Airport, leading to the launch of low-cost carrier LCC routes and the expansion of supporting infrastructure. As denuclearization progresses, competition among neighboring countries over the development of this Northeast Asian Riviera will intensify. Based on its past experience leading the Mount Kumgang tourism project and its geographical proximity, South Korea is pushing for the establishment of a joint inter-Korean tourism belt connecting Seorak, Kumgang, and Wonsan. Major construction companies and hotel firms, including Hyundai Asan, are expected to seek a return. China is already prepared to inject large-scale capital. In particular, it is highly likely that they will propose large-scale hotel and casino investments in the Wonsan region to absorb the demand for marine tourism from the population of the 3 northeastern provinces. Global capital from the U.S. and Europe will likely explore the entry of global hotel chains such as Hyatt and Marriott to enhance their brand value, provided that guarantees of denuclearization are certain. If a U.S. Trump hotel enters the market, it could serve as a guarantee of regime security and act as a hostage for North Korea. I will now discuss the competitive landscape among participants for each major industrial investment category in the Wonsan Kumgangsan International Tourism Zone following denuclearization, the coastal resort and hotel operation business. Current participants' infrastructure for the Galma Coastal Tourism Zone, with a capacity of 20,000 rooms, has been completed, and the operating entity is a North Korean state-run tourism agency. Some Russian tourists are currently visiting in the form of individual tours outside of sanctions. Competitors entering the market. After denuclearization, these include South Korea's Lotte Hotel, Shilla Hotel, and Paradise Singapore's Genting Group, France's Accor Group, the U.S.'s Marriott and Hilton, and China's Huazhu Hotel. Competitive landscape Singaporean and Hong Kong operators with 20 to 30 years of experience in the East Asian luxury resort market are expected to be the most eager to enter. North Korea is likely to prioritize South Korean companies as negotiation partners due to their political symbolism and cultural affinity. But public opinion in South Korea and government approval procedures remain variables. While U.S. companies plan to enter after denuclearization is complete, some firms are aiming for the symbolic significance of being the first U.S. brand to enter driven by President Trump's direct remarks of interest. Casino and integrated resort business. Current participants. A casino facility is currently under construction in the Galma district, with a policy of operating exclusively for foreigners. It possesses prior experience operating small-scale foreigner-only casinos in Pyongyang and Rason. Competitors entering the race after denuclearization include Macau's Melco Resorts and Sands China, Singapore's Marina Bay Sands, South Korea's Grand Korea Leisure GKL and Paradise, and the U.S.'s MGM and Caesars. Competitive landscape. Macau casino tycoons have the strongest intention to enter the market as they are most eager to diversify into overseas markets due to the Chinese government's tightening regulations. South Korea's GKL possesses the know-how to operate casinos exclusively for foreigners, making it a suitable initial consulting and joint venture partner. Casino licenses are one of North Korea's most powerful negotiating leverages, and a license premium contract is more advantageous to North Korea than a simple profit-sharing agreement. Duty-free retail and shopping businesses. Current participants, small-scale shops operating in US dollars, euros, and Chinese yuan are in operation, and cosmetics and souvenir shops exist within the Galma district. Competitors entering after denuclearization. South Korea's Lotte Duty-Free, Shilla Duty-Free, and Shinsegae Duty-Free, China's China International Travel Service CITS, and Japan's Laox, among others. Competitive landscape. The three South Korean duty-free companies hold an overwhelming advantage in experience attracting global Chinese tourists. If the annual target of 5 million tourists is achieved, duty-free sales alone could reach $500 million to $1 billion per year. Due to the characteristics of the East Coast, it is also favorable for attracting Japanese tourists via direct flights, making the participation of Japanese retailers possible. This is an aviation and transportation infrastructure project. Current participants. Although Galma International Airport is located in Wonsan, it is currently only capable of operating domestic flights. It is estimated that up to 170 foreigners will enter the country daily via the Pyongyang-Vladivostok route. Competitors. After denuclearization, these include South Korea's Korean Air and Asiana Airlines, Japan's ANA and JAL, China's Air China and China Southern Airlines, and Russia's Aeroflot. Competitive landscape. With a 45-minute direct flight from Seoul to Wonsan and a 2-hour direct flight from Tokyo to Wonsan, it forms the shortest tourist route in East Asia. The right to operate international flights at Galma Airport is a key bargaining chip, and the structure regarding flight permit fees, landing fees, and annual guaranteed passenger contracts per airline is advantageous to North Korea. Golf and sports tourism business. Current participants' Ananti Golf Resort is the only facility, but it has been closed since the COVID-19 pandemic. Although Hyundai Asan invested in it, it is currently effectively managed by North Korea. Competitors entering the market after denuclearization. The redevelopment of Ananti in Korea, a US PGA Tour-affiliated course developer, and European golf resort operators. Competitive landscape. The scenery of the East Coast and the terrain near Masikryong Ski Resort provide optimal conditions for the development of a high-end golf and ski complex resort. In particular, Masikryong Ski Resort, a modern facility completed in 2013, enables the establishment of a year-round, four-season tourism model that combines winter sports with summer coastal tourism. Medical and wellness tourism business. Current participants. None currently undeveloped due to sanctions. Competitors after denuclearization. South Korea's Samsung Seoul Hospital, Severance Hospital, and Bundang Seoul National University Hospital, Singapore's Raffles Medical Center, and Thailand's Bumrungrad Hospital, among others. Competitive landscape. The expansion of the South Korean medical tourism system into North Korea is the most natural model. A healing and wellness resort format combined with the pristine natural environment of the East Coast can absorb the demand for high-value medical tourism. Initially, a model in which South Korean medical institutions directly operate treatment centers is likely, while in the mid to long term, a structure combined with the training of local medical personnel is expected. Now let's look at the investment incentives North Korea can offer. The most powerful incentive is the provision of 50-year exclusive development rights along the coastline as a long-term land use right. In particular, it is possible to allocate mixed-use development sites to foreign investors that combine sandy beaches of over 5 kilometers along the east coast with the surrounding mountainous areas. Regarding exclusive business rights, North Korea offers the exclusive issuance of only 2 to 3 casino licenses, limits duty-free shop operating rights to 1 per country, and guarantees to block the entry of competing hotels within specific tourist zones. Business rights that guarantee exclusivity generate a massive premium in themselves. Tax incentives include a 20-year exemption from corporate tax within the tourism zone, the liberalization of foreign currency remittances for foreign tourism revenue, and duty-free application for imported tourism goods and equipment. Simplification of visa and entry procedures includes the introduction of visa on arrival or visa-free entry for South Koreans, Japanese, and Chinese nationals, permission for dedicated charter flights at Galma Airport, and the easing of movement restrictions within the special tourism zone. This is the fastest means to achieve a substantial increase in tourists. Special permission for telecommunications and the Internet includes allowing global Internet access within the special tourism zone, the normalization of roaming services, and the permitting of social media posting. Unless these issues are resolved, attracting Western tourists will be impossible. Measures to pursue interests that are best for North Korea are also necessary. Principle 1. Utilize tourism as an early monetization card in denuclearization negotiations. Since individual tourism to Mount Kumgang is not subject to UN sanctions, allowing the resumption of tourism to Mount Kumgang even before a denuclearization agreement can signal a willingness to open up to the international community while simultaneously securing immediate foreign currency revenue. A package deal structure that specifies the resumption of Mount Kumgang tourism as a corresponding measure by the United States for initial denuclearization steps is the most advantageous. Principle 2. Turn the dismantling of Hyundai Asan facilities into negotiating leverage. Regarding the South Korean facilities that have already been demolished, we propose a negotiation table conditioned on new investment by Hyundai Asan and the reconstruction of the facilities upon reaching a denuclearization agreement. Since demands for compensation for confiscation and demolition are effectively neutralized as long as the Hyundai Group seeks permission to re-enter the market, a structure that nullifies existing compensation issues and restarts under new conditions is actually advantageous to North Korea. Principle 3. Securing the directness of tourism revenue and minimizing external control. We change the structure of tourism payments from the previous lump sum payment method by Hyundai Asan to one where North Korean state-run tourism companies directly collect revenue from individual sources such as admission fees, accommodation fees, duty-free sales, and casinos. Principle 4. Preserving bargaining chips through the phased expansion of the tourism belt. We will sequentially open the tourism belt extending from Galma Beach to Met, Kumgang, Masikryong, and Tongchon in stages. By proposing the reopening of Mount Kumgang as the second stage after verifying profitability through the opening of Galma in the first stage, we can continuously extract more favorable terms by conducting new negotiations with foreign investors at each stage. Opening the entire area at once eliminates negotiation leverage. Principle 5. Create a virtuous cycle of tourism district profits by investing in domestic manufacturing infrastructure. Foreign exchange earnings from tourism will be reinvested in fostering small and medium-sized manufacturing businesses near Wonsan. This involves an internalization strategy to procure consumer goods such as towels, bedding, food and beverages, and souvenirs for the Galma Resort through local production in Wonsan, the acquisition of technical skills through the training of personnel such as hotel chefs and engineers, and the establishment of a flexible employment system where workers serve as resort laborers during the tourist season and factory laborers during the off-season. Principle 6. Intentionally create a competitive landscape among multiple nations. By establishing a structure that allows Singapore for hotel operations, South Korea for duty-free shops, Macau for casinos, and multiple flights from China and Japan, We prevent any single country from monopolizing the Wonsan Kumgangsan zone. This follows the same logic as the multipolar strategy of the Wonsan Special Economic Zone and is a core principle for permanently maintaining North Korea's negotiating power through continuous competition. Principle 7. A strategy of securing operational stakes rather than sales. Rather than selling off facilities after construction, a structure must be created where state agencies or state-owned enterprises participate in the form of a joint venture JV to receive a certain percentage of revenue as royalties. This serves as a sustainable source of foreign currency revenue. Principle 8. A strategy to foster the MICE industry. We must move beyond simple tourism to attract international conferences and exhibitions. This is a plan to reduce Pyongyang's political burden while expanding contact with the international community and generating tourism revenue without a low season. Principle 9. Environmental preservation measures and a high value-added strategy. The value of Mount Kumgang plummets if it is subjected to reckless development. Only by applying strict environmental laws to maintain the brand value of eco-friendly luxury tourism can long-term high-value revenue be guaranteed. Prospects for revenue potential of the Wonsan Mount Kumgang area after denuclearization. Under a conservative scenario, based on 1 million foreign tourists annually and an expenditure of $500 per person, tourism revenue alone could reach $500 million. Under a basic scenario, based on 3 million tourists, 1 million each from Korea, China, and Japan, and an expenditure of $1,500 per person, including casinos, duty-free shopping, and accommodation, the scale is $4.5 billion annually. Accommodation, the scale is $4.5 billion annually. Under an optimistic scenario, this amounts to 7 million tourists, half of Jeju Island's annual 15 million, and reaches $14 billion annually, based on a per capita expenditure of $2,000. Unlike the revenue from logistics and minerals in the Wonsan Special Economic Zone, tourism revenue has a short payback period and allows for an immediate inflow of foreign currency, making it the sector that will bring the fastest effect to North Korea's initial economic stabilization. The Wonsan Kumgangsan area serves as the face of North Korea's economic reconstruction. Next time, we will talk about the Sinuiju International Economic Zone. Thank you.